start out this video, because I'm going to do this on a bit of a sensitive subject, we're going to do a little social experiment. Today, I know that many of you are upset whenever your content creators turn off the comments, right? So I leave my comments on, generally. I will only cut them off when somebody decides to be a real asshole to me. So, what I want you guys to know is that when I get those comments, that's when the comment section will be shut off. And all of you can go to that comment section when it's shut off and check out whose jerk comment turned it off for you. And then you can go harass that person, okay? Because this is not about me coming on here for popularity, okay? I really don't care if you have negative comments. If you want to be positive, stick with me, okay? I like positive, but I won't deal with bullshit, all right? And I will make an example out of you. Okay, just so we're all clear on that, let's move on to the topic, shall we? So in February of 2022, I began having very odd sleep patterns. As a matter of fact, I didn't really sleep at all. And during the night, I began to have these out-of-body experiences regularly. I couldn't explain them, and they were kind of disturbing at the time because I didn't really know what was going on. I was getting a lot of information when I would get over to the other side of wherever it was I was going. It was so much information, it was overwhelming, okay? So I was trying to pull bits and pieces, but it was like walking into a library and trying to figure out what book would be the best one to start with in order to make sense of this whole mess, right? And not knowing if there's a card catalog in order to start looking for the right thing in the first place. So I didn't know what I was tapping into, didn't know how to access it exactly. I knew that there was a ton of information there, and I was trying to get bits and pieces of it, but it wasn't making sense. And then I ended up having what I think is a prophetic dream. And the reason I think it was prophetic, I thought maybe it was at the time, but I had no evidence for that. And now it's 3 years later and things are happening that are proving it to be true. So first, let me tell you about the dream. The dream started out in an abandoned city, and I'm in a car with somebody, that person is driving, I'm a passenger, and there's something on top of the car. And that thing, I just happen to know, that thing that's on top of the car and trying to get into the car as we're driving through this abandoned city is a unalived, re-alived person, okay? So we're talking, World War Z zombie stuff, okay? And I know that sounds ridiculous. It sounded ridiculous to me when I had that dream. But here's the thing. I was given a ton more of detailed information about what was going on, and that was the end result of what was going on with this plan, okay? So this plan happened to be in regards to the vaccines, but at the time that I had the dream, not a whole lot had come out yet about the vaccines, other than we were having some sudden death stuff. But we didn't have a lot of research on what was truly going on with the nanotech and all of that stuff. That was all sort of like, floating around, but it wasn't really nailed down yet. Okay, so let me go back to this dream really quick here. So in this dream, the details were about what the 1% elites were planning. The elites were planning to go underground, and they have now set up, or they were setting up at the time, and I didn't quite understand this, a system to track people who, specifically the people who have had the jab, okay? So, they were setting up this system with these smart lampposts, and at the time they were just starting to do these lampposts. I didn't actually know about it when I had the dream, okay? I'm going to show you really quick here. This is all written out, and there's like a bunch of research and stuff on the back here. I am not going to show you the written out version because it's kind of, it was just a quick thing that I wrote out just to remind me what all I said. But at any rate, I only told about 5 people about this dream, and I got a lot of flack for it. So I stopped telling people. But I think it's time that I told you guys, because there's a lot of supporting evidence for the dream that I had at this point. So, to continue on all of what I was told. Okay, let's see. That it was about the vaccines. It was about the nanotech in the vaccines, and then that there was an additional virus or of some sort in the nanotech, embedded in the nanotech. Now, this was all information we didn't have at the time, and now has actually been proven that there actually is evidence that there are things that are embedded in the technology, and that they can be accessed by computer, and that it can be broadcast via Wi-Fi. So they were building this system, and this was the information I was given, that they were building the system. They were giving the vax. Each one of those vaxes had a number. They could control all of the numbers, so they could activate basically the latent whatever virus it is in those in the numbered nanotech, and they could activate whatever virus. And there's multiple different types of nanotech, by the way. So they know, because they've looked at it under microscopes, that they reflect different colors. Each of those colors, although they worked, the nanotech works together, each one of those colors probably is as a different carrier. So it has a different signature or a different signal. So if they activate this number, it activates this virus, or if they activate that number, it activates that virus. Okay, so in this dream, they're talking about how the elite would go underground to live, and they would activate this war, and the people who had the vax, they would have these pathogens that they could activate, and sort of like your Hunger Games scenario. You remember how they could control things in the games? Yeah, we're talking like that, only they're going to be controlling diseases and things, vectors or whatever you want to call them, in other people, okay? So, but one of those vectors that they have, that they can activate, is a zombie virus. So, what I was told was they would go underground. They would activate via the smart lampposts that they have put up, because they can detect them under those blue lights, by the way. They can see the nanotech, the smart nanotech, under those blue lamps or ultraviolet lights. So I suggest, if you want to prepare, I would say go get yourself an ultraviolet light for sure. Apparently you don't have to die in order for this to be activated. So it will activate in the deceased, but it will also activate in the people who are living. Surprise! Don't come at me with hate. I am just the messenger, all right? I know a bunch of you are going to say, I have relatives. I know. I get it. I get it. I'm not trying to be some sort of alarmist, but I do want you guys to be forewarned. Okay? Being forewarned is not being an alarmist. Because I want you guys to be aware and not be shocked does not mean I'm trying to alarm you. Okay? And this is just a possible future. But I want to tell you, there's other evidence besides scientific evidence. Now, mind you, that nanotech, we do know scientifically, builds a whole other binary system in your body. Okay, it connects to itself and it makes another nervous system in you. Okay, this is what the blood clots were in the first place. All right, that system doesn't die. You're gonna ask me, how can you possibly bring somebody back to life? Okay, because the nanotech is creating its own nervous system in the body. It's been in our bodies for a very long time. There's a gal named Sabrina something or other, Whitmore. She talks about the nanotech a lot. Like this is not new. It's been in like soda pop. I knew about it in soda pop in like the 90s, but I think they started putting it in the 80s. And Coca-Cola in particular, because the CIA accidentally on purpose leaked that information, and I found out about it back then. So what I want to tell you guys is that this nanotech is not new, but it's the new stuff that they put in to the jab. That stuff's different. That stuff started shedding off of the people who did get vaxxed. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily that we carry the same stuff that they have, that it can be activated or is numbered. I don't know exactly how that works, but I do know that there's going to be a division. According to the information that I got in the dream, there's a division between the people who were vaccinated and the people who did not get vaccinated. And this will be the war eventually, okay? So World War Z will be fought between the people who got vaccinated and have been activated and the people who were not vaccinated. So surprise, if you are unvaccinated, we have some things that we have to think about, okay? So the other research that I did, I was trying to tell you that there's other research besides scientific research that I did. And that would be scripturally, even though at this point, I don't consider myself Christian anymore. I consider myself a wayfarer. And the reason I say that, I make that determination, is because I believe in the way that Christ taught, his true way, and it's not completely in the Bible, okay? So, if you want more information on that, there's other stuff on you can follow Embers and Ashes, and you can watch some of my videos that I've done about that. But I am going to get into scripture here for a moment because it supports what I'm telling you, believe it or not. So one night I was researching some things about Revelation, and I went flipping through my book just trying to find another reference towards the front, but the book flipped open to Isaiah. It opened up to, let's see, Isaiah 14:9 exactly, and I was like, okay, what's going on here? Now, mind you, Isaiah also had supporting evidence for the Revelation reference I was looking up, which was interesting in and of itself. But it also gave me some supporting evidence for my dream. And I was like, So I'm going to read to you just this little passage, and you guys can make up your own mind whether this supports it or not. There's more in here. I recommend that you read Isaiah if you have not. It's very interesting about end times. He has a lot to say, but let me just read you this. Okay. Hell from beneath is excited about you, to meet you at your coming. Satan, that is. It stirs up the dead for you. All of the chief ones of the earth it has raised up from their thrones. All the kings of the nations, they shall speak and say to you, have you also become as weak as we? Have you become like us? Your pomp is brought down to Sheol. And the sound of your stringed instruments, the maggot is spread under you, and the worms cover you. I think that's enough. He's talking about the dead coming to life as the Antichrist comes to power, as Satan comes back into power. So they have multiple plans, and I don't exactly know in what order they're executing these plans. The more information I get from the Akashic Records, I see more and I get more pieces, but it's like reading novels, okay? It's like trying to download so much information that you can't get it all in one. And even though you can go back night after night, but it takes time, right, to read a book. So you can't really, and it's so overwhelming. The difference is between the light workers and the 1%ers or whatever. Now, see, there's probably only 1% of light workers in this world too. So there's 1% of light workers and there's 1% dark workers. And the rest of the people that you're seeing are NPCs, believe it or not. I know it sounds very strange. It's all a game. It's all a game. You know, some people take this Matrix thing and they think, oh my God, you know, we're literally in a Matrix game. And we are, you guys. We really are in a Matrix game. It's just not, I don't believe this is a literal computer video game, okay? I believe that this is like more like what you would look at as a petri dish, okay? And there's, say, a bunch of petri dishes, and they're like games, okay? And we all volunteered to come play either the light side of the chessboard or the dark side of the chessboard, okay? And here we are playing the game, all right? But there's only a certain amount of players in the game, and the rest of them are placeholders. That's how the game works. If this resonates with you, you'll get it. You'll understand what I'm saying. It doesn't mean that this isn't this flesh bag isn't, you know, really us. It really is us. We feel things. And somebody else had said something brilliant. Well, what if our souls have a body outside of the firmament somewhere? Yes, absolutely. I can't remember who said that, and I was like, damn, that was good. Yes, we do. Okay. Christianity talks about how when you advance from this world, you will go and get your glorified body on the other side. You guys, come on. Somebody said, maybe we really are in pods like the Matrix, and maybe yes. I actually have seen them. I've seen mine. I know who I am. I know the name of that person. And I'm not going to divulge any of that information to you guys. I know you guys are probably going to go, oh yeah, right, sure you do. Okay, whatever. Yes, I do. I have seen it. I have told other people about it. It's very interesting. I've seen how they put you in the pod. It's not like what you see in the Matrix at all. Okay? It's not like that. It's not like this uncomfortable thing. But we volunteered to come here. We volunteered to play this game. We volunteered to be the 1%ers. But we're the 1% on the light side. We're playing the chess game. Okay? We're playing the chess game. There's always a king and the queen somewhere, by the way. I don't know who we are. I'm not exactly sure how that works. How we find out who the king and the queen are. But there's a king and the queen on the light side, and there's a king and the queen on the dark side. And they are hidden as well. So, this is a chess game. A virus is actually a vector or a pathogen. And in order to explain that better, it's viruses don't actually exist, okay? Bacteria do, but bacteria is a parasite. It's an amoeboid parasite, okay? But a pathogen is more like a venom, okay? And what they did with COVID was that they created a pathogen that they actually sprayed on us. And there's evidence for this too. This is other stuff that I've gotten from the other side. Some of it is, and then it was proven later. It was evidenced later, okay? But they took the venom. Now I didn't know I didn't know from the other side that it was venom. That was actually something that was given to me later by a gentleman, and I will give you his name at the end of this so that you can remember and look him up, because it's very interesting, this doctor. Okay. Don't let me forget. You guys, it's terrible to say, but I might. Okay. Artemis is his last name. Okay, I'm just gonna give you that, Brian Artemis, real quick, and then I'll try and remember to give it to you again. But anyway, so a vector. Okay, a vector is a pathogen. Pathogens are like snake venom, snail venom, and we know now because of that doctor that this is actually what they were doing. They're not milking snakes or anything like that. They take the venom and they grow it in a medium. Most often it's E. coli, because E. coli grows easily, and it's prevalent everywhere in the water system, in your gut. It grows everywhere. Okay. So it's a vector. They grow it in a vector that's easily transmittable to you. And so E. coli being in your gut already, and to some degree, for some people in their lungs. So, so you inhale it, they spray it. They spray it on us with the airplanes, with the chemtrails, okay? And people, inhale it, it goes into their lungs, it takes effect, and it creates bronchial issues. But it's also got like a nerve agent, because it's a poison, it's a venom, okay? So it does things like it kills your sense of smell and your sense of taste. Venom does this, okay? And like I said, this Dr. Brian Artemis talks a lot about this in his videos, so you can go on YouTube and find that. But what is necessary to know is that the vaccines were not ever created to help any of this. They were, the virus, quote unquote, was created to create a panic so you would go and get the vaccines. That's what that was about. And then they tried to force you, if you didn't get it, then they tried to tell you that you couldn't work, or you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. you know, when all this was going on? Well, they wanted to force as many to get this vaccine so that they could alter you. And those of us who didn't, well, we get to be the other side, right? And most of the ones, well, all of the, let's face it, all of the ones who didn't get it were the ones that were awake enough and are more than likely fighting in the white chess piece side anyway. And I know you guys are gonna say, oh, I have family members who got it and whatever. And I know. I don't know what to tell you, you know. A lot of people are gonna be disturbed by this. And all I can tell you, sorry, that was the light, it was bothering me. All I can tell you guys is that it's going to be a challenge, one way or another. Whatever way they decide to go, because there are multiple plans, okay? And they do want to execute all of them, but they're trying to do it in a certain order. And the reason they're trying to do it in a certain order, but they're not completely successful in doing it that way, by the way. They're trying to replicate Revelation, which is a whole other video, because we're in Satan's little season, so they're trying to make us think that we are not in Satan's little season. They're trying to make us think that we're in Revelation times, and that's in order to rally the Christians into, you know, sitting on their hands, actually. The Christians are the ones who are expecting this rapture to happen. And if it doesn't happen the way they think it's going to happen, then they're going to get, you know, very upset about that. And if you're not forewarned about it, you know, and I get it. You know, I wouldn't want to be, I'm sorry, I wouldn't want to be blindsided. Some people are like, just don't tell me, I don't want to know. Okay, surprise! This is not a surprise that you want. I would rather be forewarned. You know what I'm saying? Alright, so, but anyway, the Revelation thing is, it is going on. This is why I was researching Revelation to begin with, because it is going on. It's just not going on the way it should be going on. This is why so many people are saying, oh yeah, this is not Revelation times. This is not Revelation times. That's because no, it's not Revelation times. They're trying to replicate it. They're trying to replicate it so that we don't realize that we're in Satan's little season. Which means we have no handbook, you guys. There is no handbook. This here, if we thought that was an instruction manual, it gives us some hints, but we're not in this time. We're not in this time. If you're expecting Christ himself to come, we are not in that time. But the Christ consciousness is here. It's in the chosen people. Okay? Those are your 1%ers right now. The chosen. They are here to fight the war. Surprise! So if you're chosen, put on your gear. Get ready to go. I know some of you have been sitting on your hands or sitting on the fence trying to decide whether you really want to do this or not. It's about to get real, you guys. You've been trained for this your whole life. You can do it. And this is just for satire purposes only, of course.